This is JordangeVision. Pull up a seat and kick up your feet. Welcome, guys. How are we doing? Time for another episode of Only Murders in the Building. We are on Season 3, Episode 7 now. So in Episode 6, shit kind of hit the fan a little bit. The trio kind of go to the theater. Howard visited the theater earlier, and he claims that he saw a ghost, a legendary ghost, who apparently died on the stage 100 years ago or something like that. Oliver runs into this guy living in the attic. He's the former director of the show, the one that was fired before Oliver was brought on. He says, yeah, he's been living in the attic ever since, and he's kind of been acting like the ghost to scare people off. And he drops the bombshell on Oliver about the fight that Charles talked about in the previous episode before that. So Oliver finds all that out, and, he's pretty taken aback when he hears that. Charles, meanwhile, he's got the fish that he shared with Joy, and he's bringing it with him for some reason. And so Charles gets locked in a room with the fish, and, he lets the fish into the toilet tank, and, he's locked into the room, and eventually he has to pee, and he loses the fish when he flushes, and, the fish ends up in the bowl. So thankfully the fish is saved. But he's stuck in there for a while. Eventually he finds his way out. He's a little upset that nobody noticed he was gone or anything. And then Mabel and Taubert are kind of following up on their lead with Jonathan. Jonathan admits that he was talking to Ben's doctor to get some anxiety medication because, he didn't actually want to be the lead. Ben kind of had the same anxiety, so he talked to the same doctor about it. So, yeah, kind of explains what Jonathan was doing, but still keep an eye on Jonathan because you never know. While Oliver is also there, he compares the handwriting on the fucking pig message, which is still on the mirror. When Oliver was on a date with Loretta in the episode 5, he found the scrapbook of Ben. He compares the handwriting, and it is pretty much a guarantee that Loretta was the one who wrote the fucking pig message. Once Oliver finds that out, he's kind of smitten with Loretta, so he doesn't want Loretta to be the top suspect, so he tries to erase the message. Charles and Mabel come in and catch him. That ends up in a big fight. Charles ends up quitting the show. Mabel ends up dropping the bombshell that Cinda reached out to her to potentially be her new assistant. And I think the podcast is kind of farther apart than it ever was before. And yeah, it's kind of looking like it's in jeopardy. So that is kind of the cliffhanger that we left episode 6 on. So let's get into episode 7 and find out how they get out of this, because I'm intrigued to find out. Let's go. Before I get started, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and don't forget, reacting to art is sharing art. Channels like these benefit everyone from the viewers all the way up to the original creators themselves. Also, a reminder, spoilers are likely, so if you haven't seen this episode yet and would like to, please feel free to click off and take care of that first. I will be here when you get back, but for those of you who are sticking with me, pull up a seat, kick up your feet. This is Only Murders in the Building, Season 3, Episode 7, and the title is CoBro. Maybe a callback to Ben's old show, we'll see. Alright, here we go.
Hands up! I didn't do anything.
I think the police have the wrong guy.
Is Greg back for this one?
Did you record with him for our podcast?
No.
We just have to be careful.
Well, they haven't recorded together yet.
I did call him that.
Loretta hated Ben. She was violent towards Ben. Does that make her a murderer or just quirky?
It doesn't really make her a murderer. It's understandable why she wrote the message.
Your show is a death trap. Well, maybe I should have hired someone who could actually sing. I quit.
It wasn't a musical originally.
Give a shit or not. I'm done.
It's looking crazy, guys.
Believe it or not, I love people.
She's back?
I did.
Don't tell every schmuck is getting one.
You did spin
I
her.
don't even know what they are.
Those are so like 2012
Thank you.
or whatever year it was. They're so amused by it though.
They have a bad habit of leaving. Things, though. Things I trust.
She's a
From
collector?
place to place.
What about cats?
It's
Do you
why
like
I
those?
take stuff and keep it, so the people can stay with me.
She's got something important,
That
doesn't
makes
she?
me a klepto? So be it.
Got a little bit of a sticky finger problem. Oh,
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
did she steal the hanky? I was kind of wondering where the hanky was though. Alright, CoBro. What's this episode about?
Sit by the aisle. Makes the table seem smaller.
Thanks for the tip.
Bunny and I always used to split it. We came here every week until you idiots killed her.
We didn't kill.
It was solved, remember?
So where are your friends? Murder them too?
Long story, Bun. Or, Uma.
Quit the musical.
Ha, you got shit canned.
It was ruining my life.
Not
My
exactly.
engagement,
It's tough to lose friends at our age.
Oh, I'm sure it is
Yeah.
at your age.
Mine? I thought I didn't lose it.
Take a guess which one's older.
There are three types of people: alive, dead, and dead to me. Bunny was dead to me a lot. Not once did she apologize when we fought.
You just stifle it after a
Thank God
while.
she was-
Oliver and Mabel aren't gonna die. In fact, any second now, they're gonna reach out and apologize.
Oh, let's see. Yep, who's that?
Yes, this is he.
Oh,
I thought I
who's
was
that?
already a friend of the Philharmonic. I'm sorry, they'll call.
Yeah, it was totally them.
Hey, is that
Oh, well,
Yep, that's
he
the
wasn't
hanky.
gonna use it.
he? Is that the hanky Ben was holding the night that he...
Yeah, something to investigate. Check, please.
Thanks again for helping.
Oh, Theo. Haven't seen Theo in a while.
I've been too obsessed with... How do you sign murder?
I like that one.
I just need to talk to someone who can help me get closer to what happened.
Got anything, Theo? Ben's brother. No, but that's a good point, actually.
Do you know Dickie?
Does he know anyone from the play? He's having a silent auction Ben's movie stuff. Impromptu interview? Aw. There's a sign for CoBro.
Which of the
Auditioning for the new Charles. This guy sucks.
It's a
I thought
patter
Charles
song.
was bad.
So if you can bring a little more patter pep up.
This is as pattery as I get.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not you then.
Like we're working off old lists, like ancient crusty lists. No.
Cliff, darling, please. You know how upsetting it is for me when you stress dance.
If it's not
Why don't you
one
do
thing,
it,
it's a
Cliff?
goddamn- I have an idea.
Hurrah! But run it by mommy first, in case it's a stinker.
Who you got? He didn't run that by mommy.
I am not calling Charles, Donna. He quit. And I have far too much integrity to beg him to come back.
Counterpoint, you have no integrity to read.
They don't have anyone better.
Cliff and I have been out there trying to rev people up about this mad genius musical redo of yours. But they do ask who's in it. And Charles was our only name.
Well, him and Ben. Something happened to him,
Charles
too.
was wrong for the part. End of story. I mean, did he have a certain Ebenezer's younger cousin affability? Sure. Was he good for the odd laugh? Maybe. Fine.
He wasn't wrong for the
Charles
part.
was- Who's next? Who's this guy?
Who? Well, I pick you.
Yeah, this guy's not any better.
Sorry, is he okay?
That's what he does when he loves it. Thank you.
Or
For
not.
The
Oh,
guy came through.
Cliff's guy came through. Who is it? What?
Sweet mother of Sondheim.
Who is it? Oh? All the auditioners.
That Putnam guy's a monster.
Oliver? He's no...
Well, yes, he is. Oh, okay, this guy's good.
So quick as a whip.
Oh, it's Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick!
And he's playing himself.
Cliff, how did you pull this off? Oh, MB and I met years ago while sheltering during Superstorm Sandy.
Scary time.
He knows Matthew Broderick, okay.
But we survived, and now we're friends for life.
Amazing
I
you
just
couldn't get him
dropped
before.
everything.
Enough with these fussy film and TV franchise phony balonies.
Charles Hayden Savage?
Exactly.
No, I mean Charles Hayden Savage.
He sees him. I wasn't eavesdropping. Oh, I just got here.
Lester wanted to check all the doorbells in the building, and I wasn't doing anything. I told him I'd do it for him. And this one's working.
Oh, well, then
Okay.
you can move along now.
Check the next one.
This is not the first time Matthew has swooped in and stolen a role from me.
For the millionth
Oh,
time, you would not
there's a
have interviewed
history.
Ferris Bueller. You were
He
41.
auditioned for Ferris Bueller.
Back to which of the Pickwick triplets did it? Who of the crew would commit this crime? Might a little brat make a Bobby go splat? It's a story pretty gory for a nursery rhyme. Oh, I do. I have it.
Oliver's got a new buddy, and Charles is jealous. Where is this? Your history.
What?
CoBro catchphrase. Okay.
Isn't it just a snake that fights crime?
Yeah, apparently it's deeper than that. Yeah, also a snake who fights crime. Oh, like an original drawing.
Okay, I understood maybe
Oh.
half of what you said, but it is clear that you are a giant nerd.
Nerd.
Didn't peg you as a CoBro fan.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, huge.
She liked Girl Cop, but I guess she wasn't as big a fan as CoBro.
Which of the movies is your favorite?
CoBro 2? The Return
Return of CoBro?
Whip Lord.
Hasn't aged real well, though, because of the, you know...
I guess there's something
Jamaican
non-PC
accent. Ben's autopsy said his blood work was clean, but I started thinking...
I'm gonna stop you there.
and no detective work here.
Sorry.
God, even after he's dead, everyone's just trying to make a buck off my brother. It's fucking gross.
Hey,
Well.
excuse me, there's a minimum bid on this of $5K.
It's her third murder. She's got a style
When I
now.
was there, Dom DeLuise was a wonderful voice. And I told Mel Brooks, what if it was a musical?
Oh, he's talking about the producers.
You would be surprised how often people are half in, half out. Oh, Oliver, my kids need me. Oh, Oliver, my girlfriend left me. I only have a little fishy left, and I'm afraid
They're all
of being
human.
alone. I mean, this is the theater. What else even is there?
I agree.
Life?
So it's part of my process. When I did War Games, I taught myself to write code.
Incredible.
For my role in Election, I started teaching high school and dating some students.
Okay. We had the same reaction.
Opening night is in 2 weeks. We have to rehearse now.
Oh.
Ferris Bueller may take a day off, but Matthew Broderick does not.
Music to my ears, MB.
Even Oliver wants a day off. No. He's regretting it now. Gonna make a noise complaint? No, that didn't help.
Picky.
Okay. Okay. So he has collected a lot of hankies. Does he know whose is whose?
Incredible. 38th time is the charm. Don't do it any better than that. People might think it's an AI.
Thanks, Oliver. Where's he from? Where's he from originally, this constable?
Oh, he's from where you're from, so we don't have to change anything else.
He's from Manhattan? Well, slap my ass and call me Mamie. This changes his entire relationship to his profession.
He came from Manhattan and moved to Nova Scotia.
The city roils with ethnic tension. Irishmen, Prussians, the era of the bicycle craze.
He really does his
Strong
homework.
trolley.
Even more than the director.
Just wanted to say I'm so sorry. I've lost people too.
It's okay.
Yeah. The
Whatever.
first victim was her friend.
My folks adopted me when they thought they couldn't have kids, but then they had Ben. Miracle Ben, child star Ben. So I spent my life protecting him. You know, insensitive
Yeah.
jokes, DUIs, oh, the dick pics.
Ben probably would have been canceled in real life.
But he still gets all the credit for everything. Story of our lives. The
Yeah.
fame, the CoBro franchise.
Didn't he write that?
I think a person's just a collection of 1,000 little details. And when they're gone, those are the things you miss most.
Yeah, it's true.
Loved boba, that disgusting green tea flavor. And
I like boba.
funny, he set all his clocks 20 minutes early, so he'd always be fashionably late.
Ben is
Seems
gone.
counterproductive, but okay.
That's the only silver lining, that maniac's locked up.
I guess I never bought that Greg was a killer.
Didn't he chain you and Charles Hayden Savage up in a basement?
Details?
Can't pick
Greg was here the night of the murder.
Was he
The
there?
cops say Ben died at 12:06. And Greg was seen leaving the Arconia right after that, Mabel.
Was he at the theater too, though? Was he the poisoner? There's a lot wrong with that theory.
I know why you're here. You can't have it.
Look, I know you want to keep Ben's hanky, but it's a clue, which makes it the perfect peace offering for Oliver and Mabel. I mean, what if I never hear another millennial reference that I don't get, or another story about dark nights at Plato's retreat with Buck Henry?
One extreme, other extreme.
Even if I wanted to help, which I sincerely do not, I don't have it, okay?
I saw it. in
What'd
your
you do with
purse.
it?
I got
Oh,
some
what?
moron to pay me $7,000 for it. Snooze, you
Oh.
lose.
Who was it?
Who'd you sell it to?
One of those snake dorks upstairs.
So they're selling it at the auction.
Mel, when you were putting together the producers...
Mel Brooks.
You never saw the producers?
Well, I was busy at the time.
It ran for 6 years. Over 2,500 performances.
You're busy for 6 years?
Did you have any problems working with Broderick?
You didn't tell him in any way you were open to his ideas, did you? Oliver, you're fucked.
You've been told by Mel Brooks. This was last year, so Mel Brooks would have been... He had to have been at least 95.
Greg wasn't in the building when Ben was murdered.
Did the cops say he
The police
was?
said Ben died at 12:06. But that's because it was the time on Ben's watch when he fell and it stopped.
Yeah.
Dickie said Ben always set his watch.
So it was
He
actually...
died at 12:26. Greg was already gone.
Exactly. That's a big one.
I knew Ben was always late, but I never knew it was intentional. I just thought he was a dick.
Little from column A, little from column B.
We'll lift the curtain on Ben's final act this season on Only Murder.
Can you even call it the same thing?
The Bloody Mabel podcast. Huh? I think it's sexy. Puts you front and
Oh, is she
center.
gonna like that?
I mean, it's a terrible idea.
No.
Probably a fan submission. Hey, man. Nice to meet you. Oh, wow. You're the guy from... God.
He's heard about you. The first comic book.
Author.
Who's the author?
Oh, B. Glenroy. It's Ben Glenroy.
Yeah.
What? B is an
R.
R?
Richard Glenroy?
An R for what? Like Richard?
Richard. Dickie. Dickie actually wrote the comic.
Dickie said Ben always got the credit. And the fame. And the CoBro franchise.
That smells like a motive to me.
Ben just stole it and made millions off of it, all the while Dickie's doing everything for him?
Exactly.
Our theory rests entirely on this B being an R.
We once accused Sting of murder because he doesn't like dogs.
It's
But
better than the
first
Sting
things
theory.
first.
Half turn, twist, I pick you. Would a constable from Nova Scotia point like this, though?
I thought he was from Manhattan.
I don't know, this feels so false.
Go home.
Excuse me?
Go home.
Rehearsal's over.
Enough. Nobody cares what denomination the constable is or how he'd finger a mandolin. The constable is just the constable.
Well, see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., Nova Scotia time.
Oh, Oliver's had it already. Oh, hi.
No, I'm not lurking. Lester wanted to inspect the peepholes because evidently some of them had been installed backwards, so I said, well, I'll do it.
Just hire him back.
Oh, no, I don't want to do this show. I just want to hang out.
Of course, we'll do that all the time. 8 shows a week.
I've seen him get outacted by a horse.
Maybe he was. But I'm guessing that horse enjoyed himself on set that day because he got to spend it with Charles Hayden Savage.
He was a happy
who was
horse.
And I bet that horse didn't realize how good he had it until he had another scene partner on another set who just wrote him and wrote him and wrote him and wrote
I gotta say,
him.
Broderick's a good sport for portraying himself like this.
So all he can do is hate himself and wish he were dead for hurting his best friend and that someone would turn him into glue.
That's the longest apology I've ever heard.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.
Back to the producers.
You know, if you have any adjustments, I'm very flexible, and I've always found it's best to be honest.
He still thinks he's in it.
You would have made a much better Ferris.
Do you mean that?
Oh, I want to. But he's perfect.
He's a perfect Ferris.
More
Charles
than
is a
just
perfect
mic,
constable.
huh? I think I'm just gonna record this on my phone, okay?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, she's a little nervous. Oh. I can't figure her out either. Who can? Now she's missing it.
Have you talked to her?
Mabel?
Yeah.
No. I tried calling.
Really?
No. Text.
Yeah, she's a texter.
Why did you erase that mirror?
Yeah, here we go.
I need to show you something.
The scrapbook?
I took this from Loretta's apartment.
Wonder if they're gonna find something else in there right now.
I don't think she did it.
Oh my God, that means she's a killer.
Why?
Because Charles is always wrong?
I'm not saying it's not weird. It's just not evidence of murder. Hey, why don't
It's
you
true,
just
though,
talk
it's
to
not.
Loretta? What if we took this and gave it to Mabel as a peace offering?
Win her back with a clue.
Or
Yeah.
we could just suck it up and apologize.
That worked before.
Clue first, and then if that doesn't work, then we grovel.
They have a plan.
I believe it was Erasmus of Rotterdam.
Mabel, I am sorry for the way
described
Charles
apology.
introduced
Now you're starting to sound like Broderick. Oh,
On a fateful night, 4
Oh.
weeks ago, Hollywood superstar Ben Glenroy died. Twice. I'll explain that.
she started it without them.
In a rush to keep the public calm, the police arrested Ben's longtime stalker, Greg Rivera. But Greg wasn't even in the building when Ben was pushed down that elevator shaft. Maybe it was someone who had a reason. Money, jealousy, something to prove.
Is that blood on that hanky? So it was Dickie who bought Uma's hanky.
I heard it. You were right. They're a major pain in the ass.
They've solved 2 murders.
And it's time to reopen the Glenroy case.
Yeah. It's got the police thinking. All right. And that was episode 7. Matthew Broderick, Mel Brooks. This one had everything. All right, let's talk. All right, guys, thank you guys for tuning in to Season 3, Episode 7 of Only Murders in the Building. So what do we got? After Charles has quit the show, Oliver is auditioning people to replace him, and eventually Matthew Broderick shows up and, wows him and ends up, being this severe method actor, doing all this research, trying to give a backstory, and usually it's the directors that want this from their actors, but it's like Matthew Broderick is just exhausting Oliver with all of this, and, he just wishes he had Charles back, and finally he does get him back. So Charles, after meeting Uma at the Pickle Diner, happened to notice the hanky in her purse, and it ended up being the hanky that was taken off Ben's body. Charles sees that as a clue, and Uma eventually tells Charles that she sold it to Dickie upstairs, who was doing the big auction of Ben's stuff. So yeah, Uma doesn't have the clue anymore, and Charles is stuck. He does kind of grovel and make it up to Oliver, but Mabel has already kind of started working the podcast on her own. With Taubert and Theo's help. We haven't seen Theo in a long time, so yeah, the 2 guys, after they make up, are planning on making up with Mabel as well, but then they get the notification on their phone that the first episode is finally up. The police based his time of death on what the time was on his watch at the time, and they knew that Greg was in the building at the time that was on Ben's watch, which is one of the ways they justified arresting Greg, but it turns out Greg was already gone at the actual time, which was 20 minutes after what his watch said. And the police are just listening to the podcast saying, these guys are so annoying, but, they're right, we gotta reopen this case. Oliver, meanwhile, shares the scrapbook that he found in Loretta's apartment, saying he knows that it was Loretta who wrote that message on the mirror. Doesn't make her a murderer yet, but Oliver is very strongly starting to suspect her now. I don't know if I think Loretta's the killer. They made it pretty obvious after episode 6, and after episode 7, I guess she's still one of the main suspects, although they're throwing a lot of suspicion on Dickie now in this one, too. Dickie also saying, Dickie said a lot of things, I'm going all over the place with Dickie. Ben took credit for a lot of my ideas, and, Mabel bought that comic book, that original comic book drawing, and somehow was able to get from the B. Glenroy that the B was originally an R, which would be Richard Glenroy or Dickie Glenroy. So apparently that's one of the ideas that Ben stole, the whole CoBro idea. That sounds like it might be a motive for Dickie as well. Would they make the killer this obvious after episode 6 or episode 7 or even episode 8? Last season after episode 8, I was convinced that it was Krebs. And, then they dropped the whole Poppy bombshell on us. I don't know if I'm convinced that, the people that we think it's obvious right now, the Lorettas and the Dickies, would they make the real killer this obvious with 3 episodes to go? I don't know that they would. I kind of have a theory that it might be Taubert. And if it is Taubert, I'm not spoiling anything, it's just a theory I have right now after watching 7 episodes. Taubert was really eager to get in on the investigation. And I think that might be so that Taubert can, throw the other investigators off, kind of get in close with Mabel and kind of distract her. We'll see if I'm right, I guess, after 3 more episodes, but things are heating up. After the last episode, Loretta was looking like a strong suspect, and now Dickie's kind of looking like a strong suspect, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, I am very excited to get into episode 8, but that will wait until next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Check out my sports blogging channel, JordangeVision Sports. And once again, this is Jordan saying you can be productive sitting at home on your couch. All you need is a TV, a great catalog, and a vision. This has been JordangeVision. Have a great one, guys. Take care, and bye-bye.